Hi, beautiful souls. This is Sadhana. Welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to share with you a few different decks that I think work really well with doing chakra readings. And I'm going to talk about why I would do a chakra reading, how I go about doing it, different layouts, how I'm going to pull in significator cards and different crystals. And then I will do a couple of readings for YouTube viewers that have posted questions on my community page. So let's get started by looking at the decks. Let me introduce the decks first, and then I'll kind of get to the readings and how I lay out the cards. These are tarot decks. So this is the Osho Zen, Wild Unknown, and White Sage. And I think any of these will work really, really well as the tarot deck in a chakra reading. Just the way the creators have put these decks together, there is definite deep connections, energetic connections in all of these decks in slightly different ways, but they're all going to work. And I would not use these decks in combination with each other. I would choose one of these decks and then match up some oracle decks. And I'll do 3 different readings for you. And so I'll match oracle decks for the Osho Zen, and then the Wild Unknown and the White Sage Tarot. Teresa in this deck has used ribbons in the minors to bring in the chakra associations. And so that is not so subtle way to kind of bring in the associations. So with the yellow ribbon, we have the solar plexus, the Manipura chakra. And so very intentionally, she has brought that association of the 5 of Swords to the solar plexus chakra. And so that conversation is really easy to kind of bring into a reading. And it was this deck that spurred this video today. So it was one of my YouTube viewers who said, well, how do you actually do a reading with the White Sage Tarot? As I have been working with the Animal Spirit Tarot, and I have another video, I don't know if I said, I've done a couple videos already on the White Sage, and I will put a card up below or link the videos in the description box below so you have all this information you can go back and forth between. I did a video not too long ago about the Animal Spirit, which I will show you in a second. And as I have been doing more kind of energetic type readings and working with Kim's deck, and also reading between the lines in a lot of her descriptions, very short descriptions in her guidebooks, coming to really have a deeper respect and deeper understanding of her intention for this deck, as well as the accompanying oracle deck. And this deck works brilliantly when you're doing more of an energy-based reading, and the use of color is so subtle and sometimes not so subtle, but it just is a really beautiful way to kind of to tie things together. So this deck works really well. The Osho Zen is, I think people either love or hate this deck. This is a deck I've had for a long, long time. It's a very well used deck, and it just is an energy-based deck. And whether or not the colors exactly match up with the chakras, there is definitely always a way to tie in the energy. So here we're looking at the Queen of Cups. You can see in the background there is a feminine body, and then we have the blue lotus rising up from the water. So this is the Queen of Cups, and there's just so much to pull in every single one of these cards. The sacred geometry, the use of color. I think Deva Padma did just a fantastic job with this deck. And although, there's a few really challenging cards in this deck, the suit of clouds, or the suit of swords, is really, really intense. I think when you have a deck that I've actually never counted in this deck. So one of the exercises, and I swear I'm going to actually start doing actual reviews where I have a criteria that I go through and review a deck. And one of the things I want to do is go through some of the decks, especially the ones I use all the time, and count the number of cards that take on a more positive aspect of the card as opposed to a more negative aspect of the card, and to see if the deck is balanced in that way. Because I think that is really important, because you want to be using a deck that feels balanced, not a deck that has 75% of the cards that show the light and 25% that show the dark, you know? I think it's a really, really important question in evaluating decks. Okay, decided to pull the cards out of their boxes. These are the 5 oracle decks that I'm going to work with today. So this is the Connected and Free Alchemist's Oracle, the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit, Land Sky Oracle, Seeds of Shakti Oracle, and Soul Trees. All of these decks should be available currently except for Seeds of Shakti. So I believe Sharon Basanti, the creator of this deck, is or was working on a companion deck to this, connected to the energy of Shiva. And what I seem to recall is that when that deck is complete and published and printed, then she will eventually reprint this deck here. So keep an eye on her website, seedsofshakti.com, for more information about that, and also the companion deck to go with this, which I can't wait to see and hope it actually comes to fruition. The Land Sky Oracle, so Teresa Hutch's companion deck to the White Sage, does not have the ribbons that we see in the tarot deck, but she does use color through various things, such as crystals. There's also different, so we have an orangey color here for Devesha, and there's another example of a crystal, and some of them have like a colored line going through them. And so it's very, very easy to tie in the energy of the chakras. So there's a green line for Anahat Chakra connected to Brahmari Pranayam. So we can tie all of that in as well too, should the need arise in the reading. In Soul Trees, Allison has included 7 chakra cards, and these are absolutely beautiful. So these could be shuffled in with the deck, or they could be used as significator cards. Isn't that root chakra card gorgeous? I would love a painting of that card. And then, so here's Seeds of Shakti. So the same thing. Sharon has included 7 chakra cards. And these can be either shuffled in with the deck, or they can be used as significator cards. In the Animal Spirit, much like the tarot deck, the use of color is more subtle. It is not discussed directly in the guidebook. But if you are familiar with this kind of work, it's just such a brilliant, brilliant deck to use in that regard, and to pull the energy out of the animals, the animal medicine, and connecting it with her tarot deck. It just works so well. In the Connected and Free, we have, again, 7 chakra cards. There's actually 8. And again, you can use them as significator cards or shuffle them into the reading. And what I'll probably do today is do a demo with both using the chakra cards as significator cards, and then also shuffling them into the deck for one of the readings. And then I dumped a pile of crystals on the table. And if you do not have a deck that has chakra cards, what you might want to do is to use crystals and associate those as the significators. And also kind of, if you had a particular question, so for example, this is a beautiful piece of carnelian. If your reading was trying to seek out the medicine, the healing, uncovering what's kind of going on, what is blocked with the second chakra, you might just want to have a piece of carnelian bringing focus and energy into the reading. Or alternatively, you could just pick 7 crystals. You might want to put lapis either on the throat or the third eye, and place these in a reading. And I'll demonstrate how I do that as well, because it's really beautiful to bring in crystals to a chakra reading, because it kind of elevates just the frequency of the layout and the spread, and it's really beautiful. So let me shuffle the cards and let's do our first reading. This reading is for Natalia, and Natalia asks if any of her chakras are blocked and what can she do for it. So I shuffled the soul trees, which is on the left, as well as the land sky, which is on the right. And I took the significator cards out of the soul trees deck, and you can see kind of the placement, and I'll explain to you why I have placed them this way. We have lots of different connections with chakras, and so here we have 7, 6, 5, 4. 4 is intentionally in the center, and when I'm doing a chakra reading, regardless of the space or the layout, I always try to make sure that the heart center, the heart chakra, is in the center of the reading. And here we have 3, 2, 1. There are deep, intimate connections between these two chakras. And so when I lay out the cards, I always try to make sure that these two cards are near each other so I can speak to that as well. And I am aware of relations between other chakras as well, for example, 6 and 1. And that may or may not come up in a reading, but this one for sure is very, very common with a lot of people. So now I am shuffling the, what's it called? White Sage Tarot, and I'm going to place 7 cards on top of the soul cards deck. So I'm going to start down with the root chakra, and we have 3 of Wands, 5 of Wands, Knight of Swords, 3 of Pentacles, 6 of Wands, 6 of Pentacles, and 10 of Cups. So the first kind of obvious thing to me is that we have drawn 7 cards and we have no major cards. And so what that kind of speaks to me is that if there are issues at certain chakras, they are not major issues. So we can keep it really simple like that. The next thing I want to look at, because Teresa has intentionally wound in chakra associations with each of the minor cards, do those cards reflect the energy of the significator card underneath them? So in short, if you have a quick look here, you can see 5 of Wands is sitting on the sacral chakra. 5 of Wands is connected to the, just let me use my little pointer here. So this is connected to the solar plexus chakra, which is over here. So we might bring in a connection between this card and this card. The 6 of Wands has the orange ribbon, which is connected to the sacral chakra. And do you remember I said there is an intimate connection between these two chakras here? In the third eye chakra, we have the yellow ribbon, so the same ribbon as in this card. So we're going to have a look at what's going on here and here. The blue ribbon is associated with the throat chakra, Vishuddhi chakra, so we can look at what's going on, what the relationship is between the 4th and the 5th. We also have a blue ribbon down here in the root chakra. And then up in the top in the crown chakra, we have the multicolored ribbon. So this is sitting in its own chakra. And we're also in the Suit of Cups. So we have this blue energy as well too. So look here, we have blue, blue, and blue ribbons. So that's something that's kind of interesting. The Knight of Swords. So the court cards are not specifically associated with a certain chakra. But if we look at the knights are traditionally associated with air, and air is connected to the heart chakra. So I might bring something in here as well too. Also notice that the knight is facing in towards the reading. So these are all different things that we can look at as, as the reading kind of unfolds. Here we have Asteya. And Asteya is in the center, in the center of the Asteya card, we have the yellow ribbon for the solar plexus, the Manipura chakra. I'll speak to Astea in just a minute. And then over here, ooh, so we have compassion. This is one of the really beautiful things I love in this deck is the deep, there's so many chakra layers in this deck. So compassion or self-compassion is the medicine of the heart chakra. And in this particular soul tree, we have the green color, which is one of the colors of the heart chakra, as well as the pink blossoms, which show this beautiful sign of hope and growth and different things. And this, it's just so beautiful the way she's drawn these cards. So we'll look at the connection between this card and what's going on in the heart chakra, perhaps the healing of the heart chakra. We'll speak to this card. And she brings in other colors as well too. So there's always multiple layers. So for some reason we have the Vishuddhi chakra, the blue energy coming up through here. So that is something I might bring in when I look at this line of cards here. For those of you that aren't familiar with this yogic concept, Astea, it is in the first limb of yoga, the yamas, which are the basic yogic principles. Astea, literally translated, is non-stealing. But I want you to think, as the reading unfolds, of a more global perspective. So this could refer, of course, to taking of material possessions, but also stealing of time, stealing of energy. So I'm going to keep that in my mind as we look at the reading. Natalia asked if any of her chakras were blocked. And I think the short answer is that there's nothing really major going on here, but what is drawing my attention is the second chakra, the sacral chakra, so Swadhisthana. We have the Five of Wands sitting there, which is a card of conflict. And so what I want to ask Natalia is about the conflict here at Swadhisthana. So this could be about a conflict with getting pregnant. This is the place where we birth babies. This is where we're birthed into this world. This is also the place of creativity. She could be having challenges with getting a creative project off the ground at work. This is where our relationships live, and this is also the place where we continually need to practice and find balance between our pleasures and our excessiveness, our addictions and our compulsions. So this chakra is just loaded with stuff, and it's very, very hard in a reading like this, not having Natalia here, to know which direction I'm going to go, but that should hopefully come to light by looking and bringing in the energy of the other cards. In the center of the reading, I said I was intrigued that we had this blue ribbon woven down the whole center line here. So this is the throat chakra, this blue ribbon. It is a cooling chakra. It's a healing chakra. And it is connected to the pelvis. And so I can tell that she's doing work. I can tell, so the second chakra can be purified through the fifth chakra. And so what this tells me is Natalia is, her journey is in progress. Let's just say that. And all three cards sitting here in the center of the reading feel harmonious, and they feel divinely guided. You know, we have a three, and then we have the 10 of Cups. And to have the 10 of Cups sitting up there in the crown chakra just looks really, really beautiful. So I would encourage Natalia to continue doing whatever she is doing. And this energy with the throat is very subtle, and it's a very important part of clearing the conflict here. And why I say that is because and some of the things that come up with the issues that are swimming around here are guilt related. And this guilt is going to manifest in the throat. It could manifest as laryngitis, chronic colds, that chronic coughing and things like that as well too. And so I would suggest to her, in an effort to clear this energy, is to be working with her throat chakra. So that can happen through mantra practice. That can happen through the singing of others' sacred music or sacred tones. It can happen through toning. It can happen through different breath practices. Brahmari breath is one that comes to mind. That's where you take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, you articulate the sound like the end of the om sound, as long as the exhale is leaving, the breath is leaving the body. It's called Brahmari breath, sometimes called bumblebee breath. It's a lovely, lovely practice. So in answer to your question, how to clear that second chakra, I would really focus on the purification of the voice. Now in the fifth chakra, which is the throat chakra, we have the Six of Wands sitting here. And the Six of Wands has the orange color of the second chakra. So it's really kind of beautiful how this is kind of weaving and interconnecting together. And this tells me that she's not too far off her path and that she is going to have some success with this if she can develop a practice, and success in regards to the question about this conflict, whatever this conflict for her is here. So by focusing on clearing this energy by using her throat and using clearing practices of the Vishuddhi chakra, I'll give you another example in a few minutes, she will have nice, clear, and clean energy in her throat. So that fits really, really nicely. I do want to tie in this little yellow ball staring at me over here with the yellow energy here, because this is... so remember I said this was non-stealing. This is the practice of non-stealing, which is one of the yogic principles. And so one of the things I want to say to Natalia, or ask Natalia, is about time, energy, even physical objects. So is there something you feel is being taken from you in that regard, or are you taking something? So you can kind of think to the energy if you want of the Seven of Swords, but this is a little bit different. This is about, so the yamas are basic yogic tenets for living a highly principled life, shall we say, for living a higher frequency kind of life. And so I would really encourage you at work, at home, in all of your relationships to be a little more cognizant of your time, taking too much time from other people or allowing people to steal time from you or energy from you. I just really want you to reflect on that, because these two cards seem to be speaking beautifully to each other. If this conflict is about relationship, the way to heal the relationship, so I'm kind of moving here now, is through compassion, self-compassion. So one of the things that, and I know you see lots of memes on Facebook and things like that about, because there's been a lot of awareness about depression and things like that lately, and we never really know what is going on with other people. We don't know other people's karmic patterns. We don't know what happened when they were children or their experiences and how all of this is playing out for them. It's really important to just be in your own story, your own drama, your own development, your own journey, and to understand that all of those players, all of those other people in your life are reflections that are shining back at you to reveal something about yourself. So it's really important to be compassionate and to seek that quality no matter how challenging the situation is. And I have a feeling that because this card is sitting here, that this is about relationship. There's something to do with and I'm really sensing there's something to do with time and Natalia's time being taken or time being wasted. Okay, so let's have a look at the other chakras. So in the root chakra, we have the Three of Wands. The Three of Wands is a beautiful card to have sitting here, because with the Three of Wands, I think of opportunities and moving forward. And if she were blocked in this chakra, it would not be a card of stepping forward. And the Three of Wands is a card of opportunity and definitely moving in a positive direction, in a direction that supports your truth. So this chakra feels really kind of solid here, which is positive confirmation of not being blocked here. Let's talk about the Knight of Swords sitting here in the third chakra, the solar plexus. The Knight of Swords is very impulsive. And I get the feeling wanting to cut to the chase here, wanting to solve things quickly. The Knight of Swords is charging across the reading right into this conflict. So kind of guns blazing, and I just feel that is not sitting very well with Natalia at this time. To have the solar plexus so charged up is not going to help with the healing of this energy. And so we need to kind of talk about how to calm this energy down, this fiery energy. To have the Knight of Swords sitting here just feels like it's a lot of work for you. And this may be stimulating, this may be activating, aggravating your how you see yourself, your own worth, your own value, and you may be defending yourself at this time. And this feels, and then, we see this conflict across here. So I want to give you some suggestions for how to kind of cool and to calm this energy, perhaps divert it for a little while so you can gain a clearer perspective of what's going on. Clearer perspective is the sixth chakra. So look above there. Third eye chakra. We have the Six of Pentacles, which is about giving and receiving. It's so funny how this all kind of comes into play. And we also have the orange ribbon there. And that connects to the chakra below. And so what I was about to say was one of the biggest medicines for this chakra is karma yoga. And karma yoga refers to selfless service. If you are not doing any kind of volunteer work at this time, I would strongly suggest that you get out into the community and you choose some kind of volunteer work that makes you feel like you're doing something for a higher purpose. It's really important to come into the experience of karma yoga and to come into seva without ego. And so that when you go into your volunteer job, to simply ask, how may I be of service? And to do whatever is needed, whatever is asked. Really interesting that this compassion card is sitting here as I'm talking about this. And so perhaps if you were, regardless of what sort of service you chose, to kind of make this your mantra. And this giving and receiving, this balancing of energy through the practice of karma yoga might be really, really good for you at this time. Love to see that we have this 2 sixes across from each other. It just feels very, very harmonious. Without having Natalia here to confirm or to expand on which direction she would like me to go, I just want to kind of, in summary, just really kind of reinforce the stepping away from this conflict by stepping into service. Really beautiful here that in the heart chakra as well too, we have this 3 of Pentacles, which really kind of speaks of working together. There might be in this karma yoga, if you can pick up some kind of service project where you are working as a team to achieve something for the greater good, there'll be a need to have compassion for people that you might not normally, feel compassion for. And I've got all kinds of crazy things coming to mind, but I don't know what's available in your community. So I would really encourage you to explore this. And then as far as the healing of this chakra goes, I want you to go back to what I said at the beginning and to really kind of, if you do not have a mantra practice, if you've never done Brahmari breath, this is something that I really want you to think about, and this clearing of the energy of the throat. Just simply humming would be really beautiful for you. So yeah, I'm happy to answer more questions, and you can comment underneath your request on the community tab of my YouTube page. This is a reading for Fancy Dress 21, who is also concerned about her second and third chakras. And isn't it interesting that the previous reading that's what it was focusing on. So we'll see what comes up here for Fancy Dress. So I've used Seeds of Shakti as the significator placements. And you'll see that I have the Anahat, the heart chakra, in the center. And then I have drawn one card above and below from the same deck. And then on either side of the reading, we have a card from the Connected and Free Oracle. So I just have a jumper here. I'll just have a look at what's going on. Well, that's a pretty nice jumper, Fancy Dress. That's the Six of Fire. Okay, so I'm just going to place these down on the chakras. And so in Muladhara, we have, I'll try to keep these, that'll work. So in Muladhara, we have the Four of Rainbows, which right away is, I can tell that's going to be a bit of a problem, and we'll need to address this. So we have that sense of clinging and possessiveness in the root chakra, and so that might be an underlying issue of whatever's going on. We have the King of the same suit in Swadhisthana. Just give me a second here so we can get these all lined up nicely so you can see them all. So that is your second chakra. So that does not feel like a second chakra out of whack, and your the issues that you're experiencing might be coming from another place. So in Manipura, we do have the devil. So that the devil does really speak to the Swadhisthana chakra. So I'll try to make sense of that for you. Okay, in the center in Anahat, we have the Ten of Clouds, which is the Ten of Swords. So that might also be a possible area of conflict. In the throat, we have the Seven of Earth. So we have lots of rainbows here. Rainbows represents the suit of pentacles. Agnya Chakra. Okay, so this is a time of transition. So 13, this is the death card. Transformation card, it's called here. So we have two major cards showing up so far in the solar plexus and the third eye. And then in the crown chakra, we have the Eight of Fire. All right, Fancy Dress 21, your cards have been marinating for a little bit. I took a break to go do some errands and just coming back. And the first thing that really caught my eye was the 13 card at Agnya Chakra at the third eye. And I think this is a really beautiful opportunity for you to kind of dive into some inner work. And that, the whole idea with purifying and bringing the third eye into balance is really, really important, because if we don't start with the third eye, if we don't begin with the transformation of the third eye, then everything else is very challenging to see in a broader perspective, to see clearly. So the first kind of medicine I would recommend for you is to do some purification of the third eye. And if you are not aware what those kind of practices are, if you are feeling well and healthy and you don't have a cold, you might like to get a neti pot and do that kind of a practice. So I think from a Western perspective, the practice of neti pot is just for colds and things like that. But with doing chakra work and through the whole kind of purification of the chakras, balancing the chakras, the neti pot is actually a really beautiful practice for bringing kind of stimulation and awareness to the third eye chakra. So if you've never done this before, you want to start really, really small. You can just do like a quarter of a pot per side. And if you don't know how to do that, you can message me privately and I can talk to you about that, or we can set up a private session. But it feels like, and there's lots of other special breath and clearing practices that I would advise. So I would really start there. Having that 13 card there feels significant. Lots of really beautiful and powerful cards here. The Osho Zen Tarot does not mess around at all. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons why people steer away from it, because it's very blunt and very, very direct. The 10 of clouds sitting in the center at the heart. I think we need to look at that. So this is it's a 10, it's an ending, but it's also a transformation. And you have two transformation cards sitting beside each other. So it feels like this is a real kind of shift for you, a real shift that's happening. And I would take your time and make sure your self-care is maximized as much as possible. As much time as possible is spent with your self-care and really looking after your spiritual practice, your physical health, your diet, and everything. And this transformation will feel a lot easier if you are well in every respect of that word. The beautiful 7 of rainbows, so that's the 7 of pentacles sitting at Vishuddhi, just feels so harmonious. And so that's your throat chakra. This is the card of patience. It's a card of really being aware of the seasons and being in sync with the seasons, and not necessarily seasons, cycles, pardon me. And just really recognizing that you are in this important cycle yourself. And this card sitting at Vishuddhi or Vishuddha kind of speaks to a couple of things. One is, of course, the patience, which is really important, and not rushing the cycles and being present in every single moment. There's also a beautiful cooling and feminine energy associated with this chakra, and this feels completely in balance and in sync. So I would continue to nourish this chakra, but come back to this chakra for strength, because it feels so balanced and clean and clear. You can kind of lean into it a little bit to help you through any challenges that you are experiencing. So I spoke a little bit about exercising Vishuddhi in the last reading, and the mantra practice will also help you with what I was talking about earlier with the transformation of the Agnya chakra. Okay, so let's go to the kind of more sticky bits over on the left side of the reading. So you have the 4 of Pentacles, the King of Pentacles, and 15. So in Manipura chakra, and I'm going to kind of speak to the teachings of this particular deck. And if you're not familiar with the myth of the card that's featured here, this is a story about a lion cub who grew up in a herd of sheep. And he did not know, or she did not know, that she was not a sheep, and so conformed very much to the behaviors and the diet, the actions of the herd of sheep. So instead of being, a meat eater, was a grass eater and things like that. And then, of course, the tale goes on to eventually, it kind of reminds me of the Lion King a bit, when Simba looks into the pond or the lake and sees his own reflection and realizes, oh my God, this is what I am. This is who I'm supposed to be. And so I'd like you to just kind of reflect on that. And to have that sitting in Manipura is pretty powerful. This is about really coming into your own and being able to see exactly who you are. And so there may have been questions also about your self-esteem, your value, and I touched on this in the previous reading as well too. So this is about standing in your own power. Bringing this into balance, kind of a more fiery yoga practice might really help, but you can simply do some of the warrior postures. You can also stand just tall, standing in a, some people call it mountain pose. So you just stand with your legs, your feet hip distance apart, and your hands open beside the body. And you just kind of stand tall and proud, and you can loop your shoulders up and back with a little more of an open chest. And you just stand there. You stand in your own power, and you feel how this feels in your body. And I tell you this, I had this exercise given to me at a training that I did, and we were asked to stand for, I don't know how long we were there, but the exercise kind of went, stand until you burst into tears. And it was really a kind of a powerful experience. So there's something going on there about actually allowing yourself to reveal your own power, to reveal your own truth. Below that in Swadhisthana, we have this card of, abundance and comfort and creature comforts. And it feels on some level in conflict with the card above. And so do you live in an abundance of creature comforts? Do you have a sufficient amount of money? Do you have a beautiful home? Because this feels, maybe this is not, these creature comforts, this degree of abundance might not be fulfilling what you need. Like, it doesn't, just because we're rich doesn't mean we're happy. And so really finding, oh my God, and then look at the card below in your root chakra. This is about a card of fear, really. And it's about being afraid to let go of personal objects. It has to do with the home. It's about so if you look at this picture, it's actually quite a clever picture. There is, and you'll see this in a straight up Rider-Waite-Smith too, but beyond this wall, beyond this fence, there is this beautiful garden that is emerging. And this is another picture, another card of not seeing the big picture. It's about being in the micro instead of the macro. And so I'm really going to go back over here and really kind of emphasize that in order for you to move through these challenges that you are experiencing, this is going to kind of be your salvation. This is going to help to bring clarity and greater sight to everything that is going on. I'm just going to turn over the oracle cards. Oh, well, that's not what you want to see, is it? But let's just kind of address the issue of water, where it's sitting in the reading as well, too. And I love that that card flew out. Sun's rays. That's a beautiful rainbow card. You have a lot of rainbow colors in this reading, too. So you might want to hang some quartz crystals in your windows and fill your life with rainbows, opportunity, and sun's rays. So the surrounding cards look really beautiful. They're like and that card that jumped out, the Six of Wands, it's up in the top right corner here. Look how this kind of confetti mirrors this, right? And there is, what I'm feeling, like missed opportunity, or not have taking advantage of something that was offered in the past. Feeling a bit of regret about that. And the monsoon that's sitting down here at the bottom feels like kind of something you need to go through and to be okay in the monsoon, so that you can come out the other side and experience some of the beautiful cards that are lying around the edges. Allowing yourself to be in the waters, to be in the emotion, to be in the tears, to be and diving deep, deep into your intuition and a place of trust. The chai on the top, sometimes we just really need to slow down. And that chai might be a cup of chai that is, or a cup of cocoa, that is just shared with you and yourself. It could be a cup of chai that's shared with another, but there's this connection that is missing and this connection that needs to happen. It also makes me think about, my mother, who always said to me, always and asked me, if I had time to sit down for a cup of coffee. And she was the best at that, always going to have a coffee or a tea with a friend. And I think it's something we don't do often enough. So I'm just going to come back to your self-care in that regard as well too, and be able to lean into, if there are friends or a friend, if there is somebody with a listening ear who can hold space for you through this, that is really going to be important on this. In the Sahasrara position, so the crown chakra over on the top right, we have the Eight of Wands. And in this deck, I see this energy, and actually for you, more of an energy of moving on in a new direction. Moving to a new direction spiritually, emotionally, moving through things so you can stand on your own, be more confident, and have the energy to move forward. It really feels like, and I love the way that valley and that cavern is kind of sitting there. When I think of the crown chakra, I think of the opening, the fontanelle on the top of the head, and I think of that kind of fluid energy that flows down through the Sushumna Nadi, down through that central channel, through the chakras. And I like that this is kind of cracking open for you, and you're going to have this opportunity to experience quite a major shift and a major transition. The Sun's Rays Oracle card over on the right speaks of hope, and it speaks of allowing that light to shine in through any dark moments that you're going through at this time. So specifically, you asked about the second chakra and the third chakra, and I want to come back to that because I don't want to get lost in what's going on in the other cards, and I do want to do another demo as well too. So the second chakra relates to, as I said, so we're in the pelvic region. We're talking about birthing things, creativity, relationships, and our excessiveness, our excessive habits, right? Things that tend to get carried away too far, and bringing all of that into balance. And I think Padma Deva did a really good job or Deva Padma, showing that balance in this card. We have this beautiful energy coming out of the head behind this king here, and we have the sun and the moon, and it just feels really beautiful. So if you are feeling out of balance here, it may very well be perception, and it might have something to do with the issues that are going on in the other chakras. So if you are able to do some work with the Agnya chakra, the third eye chakra, with the Manipura chakra, the solar plexus chakra, and we need to kind of address this one more time as well too, with these three chakras, then this might feel a whole lot better, and you might be able to see that things are not as they appear. This opportunity card has me also asking questions. This heron or crane is facing into the reading. This is a sacred mandala behind here. And so what is this opportunity that is being offered to you? So I want you to be open to others' suggestions, being open to invitations, being open to signs, posters, things that come for you. So just kind of keep this word more like as a open, being open and receptive. I did touch on this, but having this card in the Muladhara chakra feels like stagnant energy. It feels like you need to blast through and move your energy in your Muladhara chakra. And I'm going to go kind of back to yogic teachings here. There is a deep, deep connection between the root chakra and the third eye chakra. And the more work you do on the third eye chakra, the clearer and cleaner the Muladhara chakra will be. One of those practices is, well, there's a few, and there's so many things I could share and teach, but I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you the one to connect these two because that's really kind of interesting. So in this practice, you close your eyes, and you can also do it with your eyes open if you're feeling comfortable. So it would be more advanced to do it with your eyes open. And if your eyes are open, you can extend your finger way out in front of your nose. And then you draw your finger closer and closer towards your nose. And your vision is supposed to follow the finger. And so you'll be cross-eyed. And you keep the cross-eyed gaze, the cross-eyed drishti, right at the tip of the nose. And you keep focusing on the tip of the nose with the cross-eyed gaze until either it's too painful or your eyes run, or, I don't want you to experience discomfort. You can practice this for a few breaths. And as you're doing this, then I encourage you to engage the muscles in your perineum. So you're focusing on the tip of the nose with the cross-eyed gaze simultaneously with a slight engagement in the perineum. And I can be more specific with that at another time with you if you want to do some work. And this exercise is about connecting these two chakras together. And there's something about inner deep work for you that needs to happen here. So I feel like there's a lot going on for you. And if you would like me to expand on this, you'll need to book an appointment. But I hope this has been, I want to do one more thing. Okay, so I don't know how many of you throw charms. And sorry, I'm walking around, so the mic might feel a little weird. But I have 7 chakra stones in my hands that I've chosen. And I'm just going to throw them onto the reading and just see if any of these pick up or clarify anything that I've just mentioned. Okay. So the carnelian landed on the monsoon, or the tip of the monsoon here. And this is speaking to the second chakra. This is speaking to being in the waters and to really, as I said with this card, I want you to be in this process and not rushing through, which this card speaks to here. Remember what I said in the previous reading is there's a deep connection between the second and the fifth chakra. So being in the waters and to, be really sweet with that. None of the other stones fell on or near really their own card. So this is hematite, which I associate with the root chakra. The clear quartz here today is for the Agnya chakra, which is kind of close to that. This is Amazonite. I love this one. And this one I chose for Vishuddhi chakra today, here for the throat. And this is an agate, a yellow agate for Manipura. This is, that's not true. The heart fell right on the heart. So this is the rose quartz for the heart chakra. So I would contemplate that as well too. So this fell right on the card. There's something very, very deep and special for you about these two transformations sitting beside each other. And so what I would do is really have a look at this whole row here And we didn't look at lots of other directions. So when I do a full reading with someone, I do look at the lines, because sometimes the individual lines can tell a story. And in that previous reading, when I saw the blue ribbon going through the middle here, if there was something like that, then I would come to that. So Fancy Dress 21, if there are particular cards that are sticking out to you, go ahead and read those in combination. But for a chakra reading for me, the most important connections are going to be, which came up for you, was root to third eye and throat to Swadhisthana, which I didn't discuss for you because we were spending time with this one. So I hope that brings a little bit of insight and clarity. I hope it stirs up some questions, gives you some good ideas about how to move forward with this. So I am going to lay out one more set of cards, and I'll be right back with you. This third reading is just for the purpose of demonstration. So let me explain to you what I've done in this spread and how I've laid out the cards and how I would go about doing this reading. First of all, I placed the chakra stones on the table, and I decided which stones I wanted. These are the same ones I used in the last reading for the toss, which ones I wanted to represent which chakra. And then I placed the cards on the table in the order of the chakras. So the first card that was placed here was the Nine of Cups underneath the hematite. And then the Empress came under the carnelian. And then we have the 10 of Swords with this lovely yellow agate, which is that's really kind of interesting. Then the Daughter of Swords for the rose quartz for the heart. The Amazonite here is the Father of Wands. And then the clear quartz for the third eye is strength. And I chose Seraphonite for the crown chakra. This is the Son of Cups. And then on either side of the upper row, there are two of the oracle cards. So this is Kim Kranz's The Wild Unknown Tarot and the Wild Unknown Oracle deck. So we have the horse and the wolf. And this is really very interesting because the horse in this deck is the highest manifestation of the energy of the earth sitting up in this position. The wolf is also very, very high up in the energy of the earth. And we can come back and speak to those. And then down in the bottom left corner is the peacock, which is the luminary. So Kim in the guidebook assigns certain, they're not ranks, but there's just evolutions of the energy based on the animals. And the peacock is also very high up in the rank. The one that doesn't fit into the reading is the hyena. So we have fire here, and the hyena is, I believe, second to the bottom. So let's have a look at that in relationship to what's going on here in the 10 of Swords. And then just to kind of tie in the energy of as above, so below, we have the fish and we have the meditate card from the Seeds of Shakti. So that meditate card is going to kind of pull together, This is a very, very interesting reading. Sorry, I stopped halfway through my sentence there. But there's a few things in this reading that, even though it was not intended for anyone, feel very, very powerful. And I'm going to go right here to the 10 of Swords and the fact that this is in the Manipura chakra. One of the ways that I read this card, and it often comes up, is that this is the end of wrestling with ego. It is the end of always having to be the doer and never being able to, finally you're able to let go. You allow other people to help. You allow other people to assist you with certain things, and you don't always have to be in charge. And you come into a place much more of trust. And to have this card here, to me, shows tremendous progress in this chakra. But at the same time, there is still the energy here of the hyena, which feels, and the hyena is turning away from this card, which is a positive thing. But they're still having these two cards beside each other feels like a bit of wrestling is still going on. So it's going to take a little bit of time to move through. And when we're moving, remember that these chakras are not integrated, balanced, processed, activated in any particular order. Different days, different times, different months, different years, you're going to kind of be focused on different chakras. I don't believe that we will become clean and clear in the root chakra and never go back there again. We kind of go up and down and up and down, and it's a bit of a journey. So this is kind of a really beautiful way that this all landed here. To have the Nine of Cups in the root really feels like a sense of freedom and a sense of adventure, as well as definitely being in a place of trust. The Empress card falling in Swadhisthana is so beautiful, and being next to the Peacock card is just an amazing reading. It's really interesting that the Peacock is facing out as well as the Hyena facing out, and that's something I would address if I did have a particular question. The reason the Empress sitting in Swadhisthana is such a beautiful card is that this is the home of Devi. This is the home of the divine feminine energy, and to have her in her own element is really, it's very, 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 very beautiful. So in this reading, we also have another major card up here, Strength, and the Strength is in the Agnya Chakra. And so as far as majors go, we have, these are the two cards that we're going to be focusing on were I doing this reading for someone. The Strength card here has a lot of light and energy. And when I start looking at this chakra, I need to kind of glance down here to this chakra and check out the relationship between these two chakras. And it looks really balanced and really, really healthy. So I would encourage this person to continue doing whatever it is they're doing and to rely on the experience of this inner strength, working through the struggles that are coming up in the other places in this reading. The Strength card is going to support everything else throughout this journey, having it here in the third eye chakra, because as I said before, it's the meditation practices, the pranayama practices, I talked about neti pot briefly. There's all kinds of things you can do to strengthen the third eye so that we can see the rest of this a lot more clearly and get less wrapped up in our own dramas and be better able to see the lessons and be a little less sensitive about things that are going on and start to realize that things are happening for us and not to us. Mm-hmm. The Daughter of Swords sitting in the center, it feels kind of vulnerable to me, actually. I do love the way that Kim has drawn this with all these kind of sparkles around. Lots of different colors, lots of different possibilities. There's a tremendous sense of hope. And the way that she's sitting there, she feels and looks quite confident. But there's something also about the naivety of the daughter sitting in the center. And she is just beginning to find her way. And it is not... what I want to say. This is very early in the journey of the heart chakra. So there's lots and lots of work to be done here. Why in the world is Father of Wands sitting at the throat? This is a question that I would ask the querent, because to have this kind of energy at the throat feels reactive. And so, do you remember I said in a previous reading that I always want to go from here to here? And so this is a really important conversation to have, is that what is this strong, fiery energy reacting to? What is it, where is it coming from? because you have a beautiful, healthy, strong foundation in your Swadhisthana chakra, and this is not balanced at all. This is not balanced energy in the throat by any means. So we need to kind of dive into that question there. It's beautiful that the horse is sitting beside, kind of overlooking. So you notice down below, these two animals are moving out. This animal is moving in and paying attention and supporting this journey, supporting this part of the process. So I don't feel that, I kind of feel that this is, there may very well be someone in your life who is reflecting back this kind of impulsive behavior that is kind of making you lash out irrationally. What the heck is that from? That's from a movie, Lash Out Irrationally. I think that was from one of the Santa Claus movies. And then we have this beautiful meditate card here, which is kind of helping me feel a lot better, because we have these very, very peaceful, high vibration energies on the outside here as well too. We have this beautiful meditate card in the center. So this is just something that needs to be stilled a little bit, okay? Moving up to the top, we have the Son of Cups. Again, another kind of naive, emotional energy sitting up at the crown chakra. And I think one of the things that happens when a lot of people start doing this work is that they focus on the end rather than focusing on the journey. And a lot of the work that I have done, the teachers that I have worked with, we don't do any exercises, we don't do any practices for the crown chakra. The work happens down here. And if we do the work down here, then this will automatically become clean and clear. So for me, having the Son of Cups up here is just a reminder that this individual, this querent, is early on in their journey. So yeah, so that's kind of how I would go about this. And I really like having this card in between these four cards, because then we can talk and share and kind of tie in the energy here. And as well here, I didn't address the fish. So the key words that Sharon wrote on here are step back, recognize change, and reinvent to adapt. But what's pulling me in here is the energy of the water. And we have, I know this says earth here, but this whole side feels like a lot of fire to me, these four cards. And so what this fish card is doing is bringing it into balance. And there's something about stepping back and recognizing change and reinventing to adapt that is, that's what the balance is. So there's excessive fire, and this fish card here is to remind the querent to invite in the coolness of the water, to invite in the sweetness, the flow of the water, and to get out of that over kind of exuberance and too much action and too much passion and all of the kind of amped up sides of the element of fire. So there's a few different steps and stages that I would go through, especially journaling about a reading like this. So one is I would go through each of the chakras and write down the card for each of the chakras and maybe write down a couple keywords or a couple of sentences. And then I would go to some of the big ones that are sticking out. I would go to the major cards, of course, and see what they're saying to me. Then I would go to the relationships that I'm aware of in the chakras. And two of them that I've shared with you today are the relationship between the root and the third eye, and the Swadhisthana, so the sacral chakra, and the throat chakra. So those are two important connections that I would make. And then I would definitely have a look at how the animals, how the oracle cards on the outside are influencing or supporting or not supporting the tarot cards that are on the inside. And I want to address why this is so important and why the heart chakra is in the middle. So the heart chakra, which is this beautiful, young, kind of naive, but very sparkly owl, is what brings together the energy of the upper three and the lower three chakras. So in order to bring all of this and all of this into balance, this is kind of where we need to meditate and where we need to focus. These two oracle cards here are helping to bring that together. And so with this kind of a reading, it's really important for me to draw connections and to help the querent see the connections between all of the pieces, because all of the pieces ultimately are connected and they're all part of a whole. And this is not a reading about 7 chakras. This is a reading about a whole soul that is already whole and well, but has just forgotten a few things. And so, yeah, I find that any of the 3 spreads that I've showed you work really well, but it is best done if you have a significant amount of time. I would say, at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half to sit and talk, have a tea and share and just really, reflect deeply. The more that the reader or if it's yourself, knows about the associations of the chakras, the deeper you're going to be able to dive into the medicine of the readings. So I hope that this has given you a little bit of insight into, how I go about doing chakra readings, and that you understand why I've chosen, these decks. And let me know if you have any questions or comments. And I look forward to chatting with you in the premiere and below. Stay well, my friends. Namaste.